These are the main boxes, and they were built by Matt Dawson, Duke of Portland built them, and he did everything that was absolutely to the best of the time.
So what would these date from?
These 1862, and they were the latest thing, you know, and you could walk through all the boxes at Evening Stable. Yep. And we always used to do that, Mr. War, walk through the boxes. And you've got ventilation there, you've got chimneys there, huge window there, window here. And when Bristol University were doing all their research into air change and all that sort of thing, dust and everything, they came here because there were so many different boxes. There's 1704 over there, there's 1862 here, there's 1972 there, so on. So Bristol University came, and of course, as soon as they saw the little yard, they said, "Oh dear, Sir Mark, no, dear, oh dear." Don't know. Anyway, they puffed their purple smoke in, and it shot out. Right. And then they puffed their smoke in here, and it came out pretty quick. And then the modern ones, we had to spend all that money redoing them. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So the old boys understood ventilation. This is Prescott's patent horse catcher, and the paddock here we only use for picking grass when the horse is held. And of course, when we do use it, you know, lads being lads, something always gets loose. They let it put its foot on the rein, hang on, oh, off it goes. And you're not allowed to run and catch it. Right. If you let the horse go, you've got to come to here, and every horse that's ever been born, he gallops twice round there, and he either comes to this gap here and you've got him, or he comes to that gap there and you've got him, and he can't crash through a gate, and there's rubber here. So it is as foolproof as you can make it, and it works perfectly, because nothing makes you look slower than running after a racehorse or a greyhound. Even if they're very bad, they can go faster than you. And this is the skin of St Simon. If you believe the Millennium Poll, he was the greatest racehorse in history. I expect probably Frankel now, they'd have, I don't know, but in the worldwide, it was the American magazine, worldwide voted the best racehorse in history was, in year 2000, was St Simon. He probably was extraordinary. That photograph of him there is when he was 19. So he probably was extraordinary. When £1,000 was £1 million, he earned 276,000 at stud. The next most expensive horse in the world was 75, and he was 500. So he was extraordinary.
What was his exploits?
He won the Ascot Gold Cup pulling a cart. He only ran 4 times. He starred a classic winner every crop. Just an extraordinary horse. He never had a foal that wasn't bay. He was completely dominant. And then these are Donovan and Ayrshire. Donovan was extraordinary. His prize money record, when you think he was running in the first decade, his prize money record wasn't beaten till Never Say Die in the 50s. Really? And when you think of inflation, so he was extraordinary. You can see his saddle marks on his wither there. That's right, yeah. And you can see them on the photograph here when he was at stud, and the painting, which is just outside the yard here, that's Sefton Lodge on the corner.
Heath,
yeah, you can see there. Yeah. And there's a lovely letter here from Lady Anne Bentinck. She had these skins, and she thought they were awful, and chucked them out and put them in an outhouse. And I heard about it. I said, well, I'll have them. I like things that are macabre. I'll have them. And so we went and got them. Hell of a job to find somewhere to put them. And this wonderful letter came my way, and it said, Lady Anne writes to Mrs. Scott Bolton, and she says, thank you for finding a home for the skins, which I still find very disgusting. And I'm astonished that someone like Sir Mark Prescott should be delighted with them. Still, each to their own. This is the covered ride. In any other town, it ought to be the ugliest building in the town, but in Newmarket, it's only in the first 6, really. There's the Catholic Church, National Westminster Bank, fire station. You know, you've got to go a bit to get the most ugly building in the town. So I think I was only about 5th or 6th. But it's a furlong round exactly, which is important because I believe a furlong is the shortest that a horse can canter round.
Right. Yeah.
Anything shorter is too tight. So the yearlings get broken in here, swimming pools through there, and then this goes up.
You've got great access to that.
Yes, so we walk and trot in here and get them all organised and get them into order and make sure you want to go out on the heath. And then I'm so lucky where I am that goes straight out onto the heath. So this is the famous heath, and everybody has their own ideas. Mine are no better than anybody else's, but my theory is that our horses never go faster than a canter here.
Right, on this
area. And this area here, so that the idea is that they relax. And I only work them either over, as you know, racecourse side, occasionally, or nearly always Bury side, either on the lime kilns or the arbor hatchery, nearly always the arbor hatchery. The idea being that when the horses are here, they know they're not going to work.
Yep.
So for 300 days a year, they'll settle, and I only put them on edge when I have to. Now, whether that's right or not, I don't know, but that's the way we do it.
Is there any reason why you particularly gallop on polytrack surfaces so much?
I think it's so much safer, less injuries, you know. I don't go on the grass. When you think I'm chairman of the Heath Committee and I'm fighting tooth and nail to look after the grass, but I probably use it less probably than most people, you know.
Yeah.
But it's terribly important.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why we're all here is because of the Heath. There's 56 other towns with a racecourse. What matters is the Heath.
Yeah, exactly.
And because of the Heath, the owners came, the horses came, the trainers came, the lads, the vets, the auction houses, but it was all for the Heath.
Yeah.
So the most important thing in Newmarket is the Heath. The railway went 1.5 miles under it, the motorway went 4 miles round it, not an acre got ploughed up in the war, simply because of its unique status. I've been chairman of the Heath Committee for 40-something years, and I regard it as an enormous pleasure and a great privilege, really, and to try and keep it as good. You know, if when we'd set off, if we'd known, when I started training, there were 35 trainers, there were 750 horses. If you told someone that this acreage could look after 81 trainers and 2,700 horses, they'd have never believed it was possible. But the advent of artificial surfaces changed everything.
And do you have a rigid pull-out time?
6:15 every day of the year. Every day of the year.
Doesn't alter with the weather?
No, no. People always say, what time do your lads have to start? And I always say they can start whenever they like, and they always look so surprised. And I say, but they are dead if they're not walking down the yard at 6:30. So some of them come in early, have a cup of tea, some of them, you know, it's up to them, but they must be walking down the yard
I can imagine.
at 6:30. And if you come here in a bad day in December, it's quite a sight. You've got maybe a couple of lunging, 3 or 4 figure of 18 long reins, 7 or 8 cantering around the outside, all under one roof, and it's snowing. You know.
Yeah, you can do it.
It's marvellous.
Yes.
It is marvellous.
This has been the best aspect of the yard, has it not?
Yeah. This is, if I could do it all again, the most important thing is this.
Yeah.
The next, the treadmill, then the walkers, and then the pool. Yeah. There's a painting in the house which we'll show you in a second, and it's a very well-known painting, and it shows Matt Dawson talking to Lord Falmouth and Fred Archer, and it's painted from where the camera is now, straight down the yard. So that is where you were. Yeah. And Mr. Mill and I were here, narrow gates, straight down the yard, old Heath house, horse coming out of number 10. Matt Dawson, summer's day, look what he's wearing, swallow coat, top hat, stiff wing collar, talking to Lord Falmouth on his hack, because the owners then, now they come out in a car, those days they came out on a hack. And there is Fred Archer, champion jockey. Look at that for turnout in the morning. He's a lovely lightweight grey suit. He's got that elastic under the trousers to keep them down. Cravat, look at the little handkerchief, bowler, and he's riding out on the hack like the jockey would come out in the car now, and then he'll get on them and ride work at the time. St Mary's Church, viewable, The trees along here are the lovely elms that got felled in 1980 something with Dutch elm disease.
Yep.
They were just young shrubs. The Berry Road is a sand track. This is St Simon in the foreground. He always had his tongue out. He was difficult, so he's the only horse in the string with a leading rein as well. The only fellow who could ride him was Charlie Fordham, who had lost his eye and had a patch on his eye. And although it's midsummer, look at the trees. Notice the clothing the horses have got on. So St Simon's got a nightcap, he's got a sheet, he's got a rug. And the fillies, because these are all the fillies, they don't want to sweat as much, so they've just got a sheet and a nightcap. But the colts, Mr Dawson's got a rug on as well. And then the social document side is so interesting, because this painting is 1884 by Townsend. And the lads, look at the lads' dress. You would have drawn them or would have put them in jodhpurs. Jodhpurs didn't come over from India until the turn of the century, so they're all in trousers. You would have put them in flat caps. Yeah. Whenever you see an illustration and the artist thinks he's doing turn of the century, he always puts them flat caps. Didn't come until about 1914. Right. So they're all wearing either trilbies or bowlers. Yeah. And even more staggering, every single lad has got a stiff wing collar. So as a social document, what starts off as just another horse painting, when you start to look at it carefully, it's a mine of information. Yeah.